Congress, the technical deliberations, and when you're in London, you can't begin without talking about the weather. Oswalji, before we come to the proceedings, I think we've had the best of the English weather so far.
Well, English people have managed with the weather, particularly our IFA president said it that they for 5 days you'll have no problem of weather.
The weather has been managed.
Weather has been managed by the UK fellows.
Before I come to Oswalji, one of the most renowned international tax experts based out of Mumbai, it's his 30th or 31st IFA Congress that he's attending, and he's rarely missed a Congress. He's truly a connoisseur, a traditionalist. That usually these are descriptions that fit Britishers, but it fits Oswalji as well. He's not a one to miss the Congress. Who better than him to recap for us the key highlights of day one? The plenary session was on interest deductibility, interest deduction, and the panel discussed quite a few interesting insights from the general reporters, the EU approaches, the BEPS Action Plan 4, which was the central focus of the entire panel discussion, and its interplay with arm's length test. I think the big point that was raised in the panel, Oswalji, was is arm's length test preferable to BEPS Action Plan 4, though of course no one is going back on it. But I think that was a good point that came up for discussion.
See, it has the discussions have begun. I would say that the BEPS Action 4 has proposed the deductibility of interest subject to so many conditions based on EBITDA and all those things.
Yeah.
But you saw that 25 countries out of the developed countries and 15 out of the non-developed remaining countries have accepted. But there are a whole lot of issues which developing countries are going to face. And therefore, I think one rule, one size cannot fit all.
Yeah.
This is one principle one should follow. OECD does not understand in the developing countries, if you really put such restrictions, the investments will wipe out.
Which was the concern today.
Which was the concern, and one of the panelists said it that if these are the restrictions put by all the countries, the global economic activity will go down. Deglobalization has already begun, and as a result, the countries will suffer. So, in the interest of countries, possibly within few years, they realize that this is not correct action, and they may think that we should do something else.
Oswalji, your thoughts on the? I mean, there are many ways in which interest is being limited. One of them is this earnings-based fixed ratio rule, which 17 out of the 20 EU countries that have submitted their branch reports here at the IFA Congress have adopted. Out of the 24 non-EU countries that have submitted their branch reports, 8 have adopted the earnings-based fixed ratio rule. In addition to that, there is something called the group ratio rule.
Well, as we discussed that there are 16 other conditions also possible for the purpose of calculating the non-deductibility, and UK is considering that. There is a 70 pages draft report, legislation was already issued yesterday, and that is going to be debated in UK. So these are the developments. Possibly what is happening that they are trying to create one rule for developed country as well as developing countries. Abuse has taken place in number of countries. They should follow this rule rather than all the countries should follow the rule.
So all of these rules are basically to clamp down on thin capitalization or taking advantage of
I would not take
debt.
the clamp down of the thin capitalization. I would take every country is now greedy to collect more tax revenues.
True.
And as a result, there is over-taxation which is happening. Not double taxation is happening, over-taxation is
Where does
happening.
India fit in here, Oswalji?
Well,
we also have a 30% rule, right?
India is part of them. India is no less than what other countries are.
So we want a pound of... Do you think the Indian rule is fair?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. All of a sudden, what was the reason of changing this? South Africa has gone back. And we copied South Africa and they are now back on the old rule. We don't have thin capitalization. We don't have a formula-based debt equity ratio rule. What was wrong in the debt equity ratio first of all to introduce? Now you are saying profit EBITDA based. And also we saw the planning. If the group taxation is introduced and the group level you do a borrowing, then the rule fails.
So, which is what the panel chair also said, right? There's a plenty of scope to manipulate the rules.
It is bound to happen. We will learn from the developed countries how they are doing it, and we'll follow it in India.
Yeah, and I think the last word here on the panel was 10 years down the line, you'll have another panel to tear apart these rules. So, I think we'll be keep revisiting these debates again and again.
This is what I said, that one country will not adopt, some of the countries will not adopt those rules.
Ostwal ji, on form and substance, it's a session that I think you sat through the case studies. Any important takeaways from that session on form and substance? It's again a topic, which we know from the times of Westminster, if not before, form versus substance. Where is post BEPS? Post BEPS, how has form and substance evolved?
Now there was one case study which was followed. Somebody followed the form, and the courts have somebody has followed in substance. Payment basis to be allowed, whereas courts taken a form as the basis. So this is not something new which is going to happen. In India also what happened in the case of Vodafone, and in the case of this recent one, yes, Vodafone, look through and look at.
Yeah.
We are now looking at, the court finally said look at, don't look through. So therefore similarly now the French court has taken similar view. So therefore this is not a form versus substance. This is a war between the revenue and the taxpayer. If you adopt form, they will follow substance. If you follow substance, they will follow the form. So this litigation will go on, and then everybody will try to justify. I think there is a rational rules should be laid down correctly. Somebody rightly argued that look at 1995 tax treaty, the transfer pricing regulation OECD created. And look at today's BEPS section 13, 8, 9 and 10. There also now what they were saying in Article 9, arm's length principle which has come out of that. It's only change in the wordings have taken place.
So where does principal, purpose, test, GAR,
Those are different.
all of those
things
are
for treaty purposes. This is for transfer pricing purpose I am talking. Transfer pricing 95. Now what we are saying, at that time it was at arm's length principle, as if the third party would have done a transaction with you. Today what we are saying, no, look at the conduct rather than the contract. Now, if
the goalposts have shifted.
Same goalpost names have changed. So now look at another principle which was discussed. He says if there is no third party who is entering into similar type of transactions, what should I look? Where do I look guidance from? For example, bank guarantee. Your corporate guarantee you are giving. Nobody will give you corporate guarantee. There can't be a third party corporate guarantee. So where is that comparable instances we will see that?
Ostwal, if you had to summarize the 5 hours of discussions today in 5 sentences, what would that be? How would you summarize today?
Well, honestly speaking, we need to keep the developments, we should keep ourselves up to date, and this type of discussions help us to come out with number of new issues in our mind. When we have to defend all type of clients in different situations, and if you do not participate in such type of debate at a very nominal cost, then you pay high cost to the lawyers to get the advice from them. And second thing, let me honestly tell you, we have to feed the lawyer so that they can argue the best of their ability in the courtroom. So therefore, to give them the best of the feed, you need to attend such conferences.
I think Ostwal ji nailed it here at the London, from the London Congress.
Not only this for London Congress, I am saying this is Congress for your...
For all the Congresses.
All, including your events.
Absolutely. That's the Guru Mantra from Ostwal ji today. One of the most renowned international tax experts. When IFA Congress was not known in India, Mr. Ostwal was attending them 30 years ago. That's all we have from day one of technical deliberations at the London Congress. Tomorrow, more interviews. We'll get all the highlights. Plenary session 2 tomorrow is investment funds. Ostwal ji will be back to tell us what he made of them.
Thank you. Thank you very much.